There was a video that I seen a long, long time ago, and it kind of answers the question as to why this is happening. And it is all to do with the Soviet Union, which is mad because it fell so long ago, but Marxism and communism we just can't seem to get rid of, unfortunately. Oh, here we go. Yep, this is the one we want.
Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion.
Credit to Mr. Gunsberger, whatever. Yeah, follow this guy. Go look at this guy. Go watch the video for yourself. We're going to watch it all here, but it'll be up on YouTube and whatever else when we make the videos later.
Overt and open. You can see it with your own eyes. All you have to do, all American mass media has to do, is to unplug their bananas from their ears, open up their eyes, and they can see it. There is no mystery. There is nothing to do with espionage. I know that espionage intelligence gathering looks more romantic. It sells more deodorants through the advertising, probably. That's why your Hollywood producers are so crazy about James Bond type of thrillers.
We also need to talk about advertising and Andrew Bernays and where advertising came from and why there's been a psyop ran on especially us and the previous generation and maybe even the generation before that from birth, which again explains why this is so important, because they're that driven on detaching you from reality in order to control you. Yeah, very important.
But in reality, the main emphasis of the KGB is not in the area of intelligence at all. According to my opinion and opinion of many defectors of my caliber, only about 15% of time, money, and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85% is a slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information,
have we got that?
Unplug their bananas from their ears, open up their eyes, and they can see.
Let's have a look at this. Oh, come on. This was, does it, 1980? This was recorded in 1984. Now, wouldn't you fucking, you couldn't write it, could you? Let's carry on.
There is no mystery. There is nothing to do with espionage. I know that espionage intelligence gathering looks more romantic. It sells more deodorants through the advertising, probably. That's why your Hollywood producers are so crazy about James Bond type of thrillers. But in reality, the main emphasis of the KGB is not in the area of intelligence at all. According to my opinion and opinion of many defectors of my caliber, only about 15% of time, money, and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85% is a slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in four basic...
It's a great brainwashing process that goes very slow. Tell me that this isn't exactly what has happened to the West. Every single institution that we have developed has been infiltrated. We have well and truly lost World War II. It was a fucking nightmare. Now, I understand that this guy is KGB, and this is from the communists infiltrating, but it was certainly the Nazis as well. Yeah? What happened was all the good people went and fought the war to protect our rights. and they all died, or a majority of them died, or they came back fucked up, and all the scumbags were like, yeah, they've got some good ideas, them, and it's all just seeped in, and we have now just given up the West. No more. We need to respect our ancestors and stand up and stop this fucking evil. Let us carry on.
The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of...
That was taken from the Prussians, okay? When the Prussians, Germany, conquered Poland way back when, they knew that they could not get the Polish adults that they'd conquered in line. What they done instead was they targeted the children. And then Rockefeller, who wanted good workers, not good men, took that system and took it over to America. Now, is it just an aligning of malignant fucking people and ideas coming together that has allowed this to happen? I don't know. Like, the deep state is very real, but some of this is just coincidence in the fact that evil often aligns with evil. And again, as Tolkien wrote, all it takes for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. And because of this demonization of masculinity, good men have been doing nothing for far, 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 far too long. And we need to say enough. We need to stand up to these pathetic, weak individuals and put them back in their place. Not that I know where the place is for them. After we do all our mass deportations, we still have a massive amount of rot to sort out, and I don't know how to do that.
In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The result you can see. Most of the people who graduated in the 60s, dropouts or half-baked intellectuals, are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media, educational system. You are stuck with them. You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to...
You see what I'm saying? They are programmed. You we can get rid of them, but it's going to take a calculated move to some old school morals is what we're missing.
You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic information, even if you prove that white is white and black is black, you still cannot change the basic perception and the logic of behavior. In other words, these people, the process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. To get rid of society of these people, you need another 20 or 15 years to educate a new generation of patriotically minded and common sense people who would be acting in favor and in the interests of the United States society.
And yet these people who've been programmed and, as you say, in place and
Yes.
who are favorable to an opening with the Soviet concept, these are the very people who would be marked for extermination in this country?
Most of them, yes. Simply because the psychological shock when they will see in future.
Now, they can't get away with extermination yet, but they have been persecuting. Yeah, that's why people are getting locked up for tweets and not going along with the narrative. Again, let's remember that all these left-wingers, they're all extremists. We've just been through the definition. So they're all extremists, but normal people saying no are the ones being targeted. And this is why. Yeah? They can't exterminate us yet, but they've just bought all those body tents, haven't they? So I wonder what that's for. Let's continue.
Most of them, yes. Simply because the psychological shock when they will see in future what the beautiful society of equality and social justice means in practice, obviously they will revolt. They will be very unhappy, frustrated people. And the Marxist-Leninist regime does not tolerate these people. They will join the links of dissenters, dissidents. Unlike in present United States, there will be no place for dissent in future Marxist-Leninist America. Here you can get popular like Daniel Ellsberg and filthy rich like Jane Fonda for being dissident, for criticizing your Pentagon. In future, these people will be simply squashed like cockroaches. Nobody is going to pay them nothing for their beautiful, noble ideas of equality. This they don't understand, and it will be the greatest shock for them, of course. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled because...
So that was 1984, and they already had succeeded in the demoralization. Now, obviously, this guy's talking about the United States, but we're talking collectively of the West, and if anyone wants to try and argue that this isn't exactly what's happening in the UK right now, then you're part of the problem. Okay, let's carry on.
The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore.
Again, Great Britain used to be the moral cornerstone of the globe. We got rid of the fucking slave trade. Not all of it, not across the world, because remember, you've still got slaves to this day. They build your iPhones, they mine for your electric cars, but none of you lefty cunts give a fuck about that. Not that any leftists will be watching this now, because again, they're extremists. So anything that goes against what they hold as a worldview, which is not based in reality, they'll just turn off from. So, I can't even remember what I was saying now. I'm that fed up going over all this stuff. Like, it has been so obvious for so long, and yet you keep letting them fucking talk. Let's carry on. Oh, no.
Beautiful, noble ideas of equality. This they don't understand, and it will be the greatest shock for them, of course. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is
This is one of the things that's so frustrating, especially when we have access to the internet. All the information is there. But again, we will use the stalker as a case study for all this in a little bit.
Unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he...
Again, I don't even think you need to do that. All you need to do is question their logic, which we'll do with the stalker. All you need to do is question their logic and it all starts to fall apart. You don't even need facts, figures and statistics. You just need to ask one simple question based in logic and truth, and they can't answer it. So then they just start attacking you. Yeah, they've got no ground to stand on. They are ideologically captured, fucking brainwashed, scumbags, evil, communist. Oh, Terrible. What a terrible situation we've allowed to develop.
With information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures. Even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation.
Now, that is why we are getting all these fighting age males coming over in boats unchecked. They are an army. Yes? They will be weaponized against us. This is what it's for. I have seen lots of reports about this growing threat for the schools when they go back. Apparently they're going to target our primary and infant schools, and coincidentally, apparently, our army is supposed to be going over to Ukraine at the time. So I don't, I can't find anything to back that up, but it's certainly in line with their standard tactics. There was a thing a while ago, I can't remember the specifics of it, but there was a school taken over. Was it maybe in Russia or one of the satellite states? Something like that. School taken over by Islamists, and they started beheading the children and everything. It is well in line with their MO, and again, there's a lot going to happen in September. We've already got September the 13th with the rally that there have been reports there may be a terrorist attack there. There is reports that may be a false flag operation to try and ignite people to fight for Israel, because apparently the IDF is running out of troops. I don't see that happening because they can draw from Jews all over the world. We'll see.
Fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his
fat bottom,
then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization.
We understand already.
So basically America is stuck with demoralization, and unless, even if you start right now, here, this minute, you start educating new generation of Americans, it will still take you 15 to 20 years to turn the tide of ideological perception of reality.
There must be another way. That can't be true. Apparently, after World War II, when people in Germany wanted food parcels, they had to watch educational videos on the Holocaust. Do we need to sit them down and make them learn reality again? Because that sounds a bit Clockwork Orange to me. And I'm not a fan of that. However, we're so far gone. What are we supposed to do?
This minute, you start educating new generation of Americans. It will still take you 15 to 20 years to turn the tide of ideological perception of reality back to normalcy and patriotism. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, it doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation.
So, attacking the health of the individuals with our poison food and our shitty NHS that does nothing to help people get better. Yeah, it's about symptom management, and shut up, just accept a 50% pain reduction and bugger off, shut up, get out of our hair. So you've got that. Shit, I had another point and it's gone. Attack our health. Well, they attack our minds. Destabilization. Oh, energy prices. Yeah. People can't afford to live. They can't think about what's actually happening outside of their own lives because they've been that attacked. Like, again, if you think that this isn't happening, you're part of the problem. Like, it is all right here. 1984, this was written. This was filmed. 1984. Again, the same book that is being used as an instruction manual. It's not just 1984. It's a combination of 1984 and Brave New World. Yeah. Drugs to dull them down, hypersexualization to distract them. Yeah, it's all been written. And again, right, this fucking stalker later talks about the Overton window. This book now can put you on the prevent right-wing extremist list because it's an instruction manual that they're following. It was supposed to be a warning. So much so that his fucking statue is outside the BBC, which has become such a propaganda tool. But again, you try and talk to any of these brainwashed sheep, and they still believe that the BBC is independent and no, it's not led by the government. And you're like, right, have you watched anything else that perhaps offers a broader view than the BBC? No. I only watch the BBC. I only listen to Radio 4. I only listen to LBC. Yeah? Extremism.
It's what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power structure.
So Labour's had a year. Now, obviously, the time scales are a little bit different. This all started under Blair. Yeah, maybe you could argue probably before then, but it really started getting going under Blair. Then the Tories ramped it up majorly, and now they are that aware that they've lost any goodwill amongst the people that they're proper accelerating now. Thankfully, Labour's full of fucking morons, so I think they've gone too fast now, and too many people are awake. But the question is, what are we going to do? Because they aren't slowing down. It seems like civil war is absolutely inevitable by design. Again, they want to weaponize the migrants. Well, they want to weaponize the foreign army that they've imported, and they want to bring in their digital IDs and their central digital banking currencies, so that if you ever have any sort of wrong think, because they'll be able to read your mind now, you've got loads of technology that's already working on reading your mind, if not already brought in, all your Internet of Things, all your earbuds, everything like that. It reads your brainwaves, and then that can be, using AI, they can figure out what you're actually thinking. So, well, this is the thing. Obviously, he had his little TV screens and that in here, but he couldn't imagine the technology that we'd have moving forward. I can't show my phone on camera because we're using that to stream to the TikTok, so that I'll be able to screen share on TikTok moving forward. But, yeah. Oh, we're only 7 minutes in. Wow.
Country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda when the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in 1960.
Have you noticed that normalize has become commonplace? You've got to normalize fucking fatties. You've got to normalize trans. You've got to normalize hypersexuality. You've got to normalize these systems that allow mediocre people to feel important whilst being mediocre. And I don't know if you have noticed, but the standards across the board have slipped. Not just on things that matter, but customer service. Even if you go to Mackey's or somewhere like that, they're all just fucking degenerate scum. Yeah, they've got no sense of common decency towards each other. The general public, everyone's just out for themselves. Normalise this, normalise that. No, normalise shame, normalise morals, normalise calling out shitty behaviour.
Comrade Brezhnev said, now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized. This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington.
Tell me that isn't what Labour are doing right now, especially with the fucking green agenda. We haven't had capitalism for a long, long time, yeah? When the banks collapsed, they should have been allowed to collapse if we were capitalist, but they weren't. They were bailed out. because there's this big fucking blob behind the scenes, and all they give a fuck about is lining their own pockets and gaining more control and more power whilst we suffer. And your pound goes down in value. A pound has lost 46% of its value in 20 years, something like that. I can't remember the exact figures, but your money is worth less because they keep printing more. They are intentionally going to crash the economy so that they can bring in the CBDCs. But that can only happen after you've got your digital ID, which, funnily enough, is being pushed by Farage and Reform. Because Farage and Reform, in case you haven't noticed, are exactly the fucking same as the rest of them. And you're just burying your head in the sands like fucking ostriches because you want it to be true. And I understand. I want it to be true as well. But it is not. Reform are controlled opposition, and if you vote for them, you are voting for your own demise. That is, if we get another fucking election, which I highly doubt. Again, Labour are that stupid, they've ramped it up too much, so they'll have to bring in martial law before. They probably thought they were going to get another election cycle, but fucking Starmer and Jess Phillips and Rayner and fucking... I can't remember the fucking Chancellor of the Exchequer's name. That's twice I've forgot it now, but whatever. Retards. Fucking... Ugh.
The principle of free market competition and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C. with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. He will go to Moscow to kiss the bottoms of
promises like, we'll smash the gangs. Fucking prick.
New generation of Soviet assassins. Never mind. He will create false illusions that the situation is under control. Situation is not under control. Situation is disgustingly out of control. Most of the American politicians, media, and educational system.
Live access removed. Your access to go live and multi-guest will be restored on 2nd of September. Access to will be restored. Hate speech and hateful behaviours. What? Was this a mistake? Submit appeal.
False. The United States is in a state of war. Undeclared total war against the basic principles and the foundations of this system. And the initiator of this war is not Comrade Andropov, of course. It's the system. However ridiculous it may sound, the world communist system or the world communist conspiracy.
So that would be United Nations, World Economic Forum, Fabian Society, yeah? All of these behind-the-scenes, made-up things. Oh, well, they're not even behind the scenes. WEF and UN are well and truly open. And let's not forget that we've just had Klaus Schwab, who had to resign from the WEF because they publicly were outed for fiddling the Brexit stats. Because Brexit actually helped the UK. But if you listen to any of your mainstream media news, it didn't. And yet it did. Because the European Union was just another mechanism of control for these globalist elites to try and quash us. And let's not forget that they openly talk about depopulation. The royals do it, Bill Gates does it, and yet you still take his fucking vaccines. You still buy his fake meat, you absolute morons. Again, though, not you guys. If anyone's still watching, it can't be you, because you're not a left-wing extremist. Everyone who needs to hear this has already turned off because they can't have their worldview challenged because they are children, not attached to reality.
They're scared, some people are not. I don't give a hoot. If you are not scared by now, nothing can scare you. But you don't have to be paranoid about it. What actually happens now, that unlike myself, you have literally several years to live on unless the United States wake up. The time bomb is ticking. With every second, the disaster is coming closer and closer. Unlike myself, you will have nowhere to defect to.
We have nowhere to go. Yeah? We have nowhere to go. You may think that the United States has been saved, but I don't believe that. We have nowhere to go. We must defend Great Britain. We have nowhere to go. You cannot escape this. You either fight or submit. Make a choice.
Unless you want to live in Antarctica with penguins. This is it. This is the last country of freedom and possibility.
Okay, so what do we do? What is your recommendation to the American people?
Well, the immediate thing that comes to my mind is, of course, there must be a very strong national effort to educate people in the spirit of real patriotism, number one.
Raise the colours, people, like that fantastic little Scottish girl. Stand up, yeah? Quick note on that. If anyone watches that video and hears the terror in that young girl's voice and is not immediately outraged, what the fuck are you? Evil is what you are. How? Oh my word. She is absolutely terrified, rightly so. And you just don't care. You all claim to be virtuous and moral, full of morals and good men and good people and nice people and all that. But when there's actual danger, you just do fucking now. In fact, you just defend it. And what's more absurd is all these people defending the refugees, all of this shite, will be killed by them when they become a majority. Will be killed by them. What we should do is ship them all over to Afghanistan to have a holiday and see how long their ideals last then.
Number two, to explain them the real danger of socialist, communist, whatever, welfare state, big brother government. If people will fail to grasp the impending danger of that development, nothing ever can help United States. You may kiss goodbye to your freedom, including freedoms to homosexuals, to prison inmate. All this freedom will vanish, evaporate in 5 seconds, including your precious lives.
I love this guy.
The second thing, the moment at least part of the United States population is convinced that the danger is real, they have to force their government. And I'm not talking about sending letters, signing petitions, and all this beautiful, noble activity. I'm talking about forcing United States government to stop aiding communism. Because there is no other problem more burning and urgent than to stop the Soviet military-industrial complex from destroying whatever is left of the free world. And it is very easy to do. No credits, no technology, no money, no political or diplomatic recognition, and of course no such idiocy as grain deals to US.
Let's not forget that they've all just started recognizing Palestine as a state. Yep, the terrorist state of Palestine that actively stops its citizens using tunnel systems during a war because it wants them to die. And they want to die. They want their children to die because their radical extremist religious text tells them that it's a great honor to die. So they're happy to send their kids to be bombed when they should be trying to protect them. And again, I believe Israel is a corrupt nation state, but they're also fighting for their lives. They shouldn't really be in the Middle East. I think that the reason that they put them there isn't anything at all to do with this, because according to this, they have all the lands, all the nations already. So it doesn't need to be that particular patch of dirt. But I think that they're there for the forever war that needs to continue for the military-industrial complex so that they can keep funding things like Palantir, so that they can grow their observation, so that they can grow their surveillance state, which again is why I don't really trust that America is a safe haven as Trump is trying to make it seem to be. I believe that they are all just working together and we're just being taken for mugs.
The Soviet people, 270 millions of Soviets, will be eternally thankful to you if you stop aiding a bunch of murderers who sit now in Kremlin and whom President Reagan respectfully calls government. They do not govern anything, least of all such complex. All you have to do, all American mind control.
So we're told not all Muslims are bad, and I firmly believe that. However, they still can't denounce they're extremists because that's against their Muslim text. But if they don't believe everything that's in the Quran, then they're not actually Muslims. The same way that you've got so many people who claim to be Christian, but they don't follow a goddamn thing that's in this book. Yeah? I know one of these weak fucking nice guys that won't even call the Lord Father. Yeah? Now, let's quickly read the Lord's Prayer. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And do not lead us into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. This fucking weak, ideologically captured man will not call the Lord Father, but still claims that he's Christian and follows the teachings of Jesus. Make that make sense? Instead, he'd rather do backflips so that he can fit in with the woke agenda.
Is disgustingly out of control. Most of the American politicians, media, and educational...
Sorry, yes, back to my point. So you've got all these people. Let's look at the pullout of Afghanistan. You offered them freedom and liberation, and then immediately pulled out, let the Taliban have it back, and now you're defending the rights of this Muslim expansion into Britain, whilst their rights have been removed, and you just don't give a fuck. Because you don't care. You're narcissistic pricks jumping on the latest bandwagon. Yeah. Oh.
System trains another generation of people who think they are living at a peacetime. False. United States is in a state of war.
We've done this bit.
It's ticking with every second. The disaster is coming closer and closer. Unlike myself, you will have nowhere to homosexuals, to prison inmate. All this freedom will vanish, evaporate in 5 seconds, including your precious lives. The second thing, the moment at least part of the United States population is convinced that the danger is real, they have to force their government. And I'm not talking about sending letters, signing petitions, and all this beautiful, noble activity. I'm talking about forcing United States government to stop aiding communism.
So I suppose this is what we need to do on the 13th.
More burning and urgent than to... So basic, two very simple, maybe two simplistic answers or solutions, but nevertheless, they are I'll be eternally thankful to you if you stop aiding a bunch of murderers who sit now in Kremlin and whom President Reagan respectfully calls government. They do not govern anything, least of all such complexity as the Soviet economy.
So that would be all your Muslim
two
states.
Very simple, maybe two simplistic answers or solutions, but nevertheless, they are the only solutions. Educate yourself, understand what's going on around you. You are not living at the time of peace. You are in a state of war, and you have precious little time to save yourself. You don't have much time, especially if you are talking about young
We really
generation.
don't have any time
There's
left.
not much time left.
Zero.
For convulsions to the beautiful disco music. Very soon it will go, just overnight. If we are talking about capitalists or wealthy businessmen, I think they are selling the rope on which they will hang very soon. If they don't stop, if they cannot curb...
Like all the traitors who are signing over their hotels, like the fucking owner of the Bell Hotel that joined with the council to overturn the appeal that has solidified that the rights of these migrant criminals, this criminal invading force, have more rights than us, the British people. So,
their unsettled desire for profit. And if they keep on trading with the monster of the Soviet communism, they are going to hang very soon. And they will pray to be killed, but unfortunately they will be sent to Alaska probably to manage industry of slaves. It's simplistic. I know it sounds unpleasant. I know Americans don't like to listen to things which are unpleasant. But I have defected not to tell you the stories about such idiocy as microfilm, James Bond type espionage. This is garbage. You don't need any espionage anymore. I have come to talk about survival. It's a question of survival of this system. You may ask me, what is it in for me? Survival, obviously, because unlike, as I said, I am now in your boat. If we sing together, we'll sing beautifully together. There
Great
is no
video.